Anyone want some rice?
Hey guys, it's Michelle.
Mexican rice,
Resistance
fried
Chicks
rice.
coming at you. It's
Susan
April
rice.
2017. It's the 5th. It's a Wednesday. I don't know if you know, but I'm masked. You can't see me. This is the mask on my face. I stole this from Leah's room. Don't ask why she has them, but I thought it would be fitting to wear a mask since we're going to be talking about the unmasking of very important top secret things, and it must be taken seriously when anybody with the last name Rice or Bean or any other kind of thing like that decides that they need to take it upon themselves to unmask things that should be left masked. You know, I mean, when Zorro is out fighting, he has to wear the mask, because if he doesn't, then people will know that he's whoever Zorro's name is when he's not masked. You know, so when the Green Lantern is the Green Lantern, he has his green mask on his face, and I just think that it's unnecessary to take it upon yourself to unmask things that need to be left masked. So for those of you that needed a visual aid, I thought that I would come to you. The difference between, I mean, you may not even know who I am. This might not even be Michelle. You don't know. It could be anyone. But when you choose,
You're U.S. citizen number
when you
one.
rip the mask off of someone's face, or their name in this case, I think it should be taken very seriously. So
I just unmasked her.
We're going to
Call me
rename her
Susan
Susan
Rice.
Rice. Yes. This is a very serious business. It actually is very serious
I would
business.
like you to look behind me. This is called a Russian nesting doll. I love Russian nesting dolls. You open up the one doll, and then you open up another one and another one. And we've had several of these. I love the Russian nesting dolls. Stop. So I love this on Twitter. It made me laugh so hard. So you've got Evelyn Farkas, right? Like, she was the first one. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? Then you've got Susan Rice over here, and then inside is Obama.
Inside of Susan Rice lives Obama.
So there's a lot to talk about with the Susan Rice revelation that broke on the weekend, and pretty much all the news organizations were like, nothing to see here.
There's nothing here.
There's no story here.
Keep
Just
moving.
moving on. Nothing to see here. Chris Matthews even went so far as to say that the accusations against Susan Rice were racist because she appears to be black. She looks, she's like Obama. She's like, you have to call them like white black people, and that's not racist, but she's awful light to be racist comments. If I saw her, you know, you might think she's Hispanic, but that's besides the point. The fact that even Chris Matthews mentioned it.
Well, I really believe that since Evelyn Farkas came out and we slammed her, it's because we're racist against white people too. So we're racist against every race,
right?
Whenever we pick on anyone.
This Washington Times article says the Susan Rice lies will haunt liberals. For any conservative or any Republican who's watched the Obama administration, and you just want to scream because you see these people lying, and you can't do anything. You can't do anything to stop them. Okay, and right now it seems that what they did under the Obama administration is starting to catch up with them. Will they get caught in their net? I mean, Hillary Clinton was brought before, and she should be in prison. There is no doubt in almost every American's mind that she needs to be in prison, that she did something that would have put anybody else like her in prison.
Well, she's above the law at this point.
But to do the unmasking of individual citizens' names for political reasons is illegal. And Nunes, we're finding out that when he went to look at the computer, what he saw was that Susan Rice was unmasking the names of people on Donald Trump's team, and that's how you got Flynn out. Now, there has to be two people, or she unmasked it and leaked it. But there's a lot of theories going out right now, so we're gonna delve into the theory realm, because it's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth, but there is a conspiracy, and we have to get to the truth. So one conspiracy theory is that there were that she unmasked these names and somebody underneath of her leaked them. And we're talking about specifically General Flynn. And there was actually another person who was unmasked and leaked, but the name actually is, we don't know who that is right now.
It's still masked as far as the public's concerned.
But in this Washington Times article, it goes on to talk about how Susan Rice was the first one to come out to say, oh my gosh, Benghazi was about the video. Okay, and there was a lot of fiascos with her and as the national
well, and now we know
council.
that she is a liar. She has literally been caught in a lie.
She says, does anybody remember the Twitter thing going, does anybody remember on the March 22nd when she says she doesn't know anything about the unmasking? And now she's coming out to saying, well, maybe I do know something about the unmasking. Now I want to find, let's see, This was the Fox News article. We're going to go to the beginning here with Rand Paul on Susan Rice here.
She's better, Paul. I'm sure you've had a chance to see that interview. You've had your questions before. Are they now answered?
No, not at all. I don't think she answered the question, did she unmask people in the Trump administration? She says, well, maybe I did, but I didn't do it for political reasons. I think it's incumbent upon her to try to prove to the American people why it wouldn't have been a political reason. If someone were investigating the Trump administration, it would be the FBI, not political people in the White House. She's a political appointee that reports directly to the president. The real question we need to ask Susan Rice is, did the president direct you to eavesdrop and sift through all of the mountains of intelligence we have? Do you know that over 1 million Americans' phone calls are listened to without a warrant? We need to protect American privacy and use the Constitution. We can't let political partisans like Susan Rice search through databases, unmask people, and she may not have leaked it, but what if one of her staff leaked it? What if somebody else she talked to leaked it? We can't allow intelligence to be used for political purposes.
Would you characterize the Obama administration as capable of going out of their way to try to make the first months of the Trump campaign so rocky by putting this out there?
Well, there's eventually, I think, going to be a log produced that will have Susan Rice, how many times she logged in and whose information she looked for. And this takes a while. It's so classified I can't look at it. The White House can look at it, and so can the intelligence committees. But here's the thing. Should legislators have their phone calls listened to? If I am talking to an ambassador around the country and I have a different opinion than the president, should the president get to listen to my phone call in order to counteract me politically? That's a separation of powers issue, and the media's been kind of missing this, saying, oh, it's incidental. No, it isn't. If it's your conversation, it's not exactly incidental. It could be very important to you to keep your privacy.
Senator, I got so much to talk about. For example, by Friday at midnight, you might have a new Supreme Court justice, but...
Then he goes on to talk about Gorsuch, and they might have to, as a side note, use the constitutional option, and might have to have Mike Pence voting on the confirmation there. Yeah, again.
Keep bringing in Pence for all this stuff that he's not supposed to have to be doing. Rand Paul is so well spoken and so very well thought out, and I really appreciate that about him. He's very honest, he's very forthright in everything that he says, and he hits so many valid points, like when he was talking about I'm talking to an ambassador of another country and I have an opinion that is different than the President of the United States, should the President of the United States be able to listen into that conversation so he can subvert me or do whatever? There are actually people out there that think yes.
See, you used to have to wiretap people. You used to have to get a warrant to do it.
Right.
And so now you've got all this spying on people, and if it's not okay to incidentally collect information like this.
You guys, the way that our government works, it is not the president is a dictator of our entire country and then representatives of different states just so happen to have little jobs. No, each state, we are a republic, sends representatives, and the president is just meant to kind of oversee and be like the last call, but he's not the I listen in to all of these different representatives and all these different people, and if they don't do what I think that they should be doing, then I can go in and lay the hammer down on them. And that is what happens when you have these people literally spying on
Right.
exactly on these
He was
representatives
basically
and
annoyed
different
because
people.
this is a distraction from their distraction about the collusion between Russia and Trump. I mean, the most interesting thing to me about all this is that Susan Rice has apparently, as a practical matter, been surveilling Trump associates for a year, which basically means since New Hampshire and Iowa, which seems to me a very odd thing for a national security advisor to be doing. And you can bet that if in that time they had found any kind of meaningful collusion between Trump and the Russians, it would have been leaked by now. And it hasn't been leaked because it doesn't exist.
So one of the things that the bigger story in this, or as big of the story, is the mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times. When you Google Susan Rice, it's all, oh my gosh, the big bad Trump team, and Trump tweeted out, Trump had said, it looks like she did something criminal. And actually Donald Trump Jr. Said that the Mike Shirojevich, who was the guy who leaked, who broke the story over the weekend, he said that, oh, he deserves a Pulitzer Prize, but he's kind of one of those right-wingy news writers, and
He writes some fake news. He writes some real news. He's a little
fake-ish type news.
But what gets me is like these people that are accusing Trump of, okay, he said she might have done something criminally.
Right.
But when it comes to their agenda, like I want to go back to Assad, all of a sudden it's not even been proven that Assad was behind the chemical terror, or I want to call it terror, the chemical attack, and yet the entire world is ready to go at Assad when there's been no investigation.
And the whole thing with Trump and Russia, the media is so upset. They don't want to cover this. Don Lemon even came out and said this is a non-story. I mean, it's just hilarious, this craziness. But I want you to listen to Susan Rice here, and it's funny. It's another Nancy Pelosi moment.
Of people involved to unmask the names of people involved in the Trump transition, the Trump campaign, people surrounding the president-elect.
Let me be clear.
In order to spy on them, in order to expose them.
Absolutely not for any political purposes, to spy, expose, anything. But
Did you leak the name of Mike Flynn?
I leaked nothing to nobody, and never have and never would.
So unfortunately, the way that the grammar works is that was a double negative, and a double negative actually equals a positive. So when she said I leaked nothing to nobody, it's as good as saying I leaked it.
I leaked nothing to anybody. I leaked something to somebody.
There were a lot of different ways she could have said that. And listen, I get it. Leah and I misspeak all the time.
But my name isn't on the list of trying to take down an entire administration.
Yeah.
That's the difference between me and you.
You're not trying to overthrow your country?
Exactly. I'm not. You when you go on MSNBC, you get a piece of paper, okay, and you read from it. You do not stray and say, "I leak nothing to nobody. I leak nothing to nobody." I mean, seriously. I mean, it's just mind-boggling what this is going on. So obviously, Nunes comes out with this saying. Shirojevich, or whatever his name is, breaks his story. All of Hades breaks loose over the weekend. And the mainstream media is like, it's no big deal. There's nothing to see here. Let's move on. But really, there is something to see here. Okay,
Oh, there's a lot of stuff to see.
And Judicial Watch here wants to know if she broke the law. She needs to obviously be convened under a grand jury, and we're going to end with this because this is a developing story. Every 5 seconds there's something new. Everybody's talking about it. Nobody really knows of anything. I mean, the idea was that she did this thing, and it appears that she and somebody under her leaked it. That they're trying to get to the bottom of it. And I believe it was Rand Paul who said, "Listen, go back to who had the authority to unmask these names, and you'll see who leaked Flynn's name. It's illegal. Whoever did has to go to prison."
So in this country, we got the CIA, NSA, and even the Pentagon has a surveillance thing bigger than the CIA, than the NSA.
We're all being surveilled, and
they don't know anything.
Okay.
And they know nothing about nobody.
We have all this intelligence, but
What?
nobody's intelligent.
I've said that from the very beginning. And we have all this intelligence.
Why are we wasting billions and trillions of dollars on this surveillance?
You can find out if they're in foil all these terrorist attacks, but you can't figure out who leaked it. You know exactly.
And you know what Rand said, that they're going to, it takes time, they're going to go through it, they will find out. You know,
start wars on this intelligence.
But see, here's the thing, they're covering themselves up. They leaked it, and then they know how to cover themselves up. So I don't even think we may not even find it because they leaked it. They knew what they were doing, and they can cover themselves up.
I don't know though. I think at some point, you know, they're
Is
like
it
I was
possible,
saying,
though,
you can't
if
cover
she
everything.
if she does in fact take
I
the
think
stand,
it'll
could we
come
get
out.
to the bottom of the meaning behind her actions? Here to weigh in is the president of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton. Tom, well, first off, in terms of Susan Rice and her motivation, can you unwind that in a hearing?
Well, I would expect that she wouldn't admit to crimes in a hearing any more than she was going to admit to a crime in an interview with MSNBC. If she was accessing this material and using it for improper purposes, there are all sorts of criminal laws that would have been violated. The Privacy Act protects the private information of individuals from prying for improper purposes, and you can go to jail for that. So if she's going to be called as a witness, I would suggest the focus be on getting a grand jury going and having her testify before a grand jury. That would show that we're actually serious about investigating this unprecedented violation of an abuse of power by a president and his appointees. You know, if G. Gordon Liddy were in the White House during the Nixon administration doing this sort of thing, this is the equivalent. You've got G. Gordon Liddy under President Obama, which is Susan Rice at this point, by all accounts.
Can either one of these, can President Obama or can Susan Rice face charges in any scenario? Because some are saying that.
Well, I think with Susan Rice, if she was accessing this information for improper purposes, there would be crimes at issue here. The Privacy Act, I think you could go to jail for 6 months for violating the Privacy Act. I don't know what President Obama knew and when he knew it, and I highlighted the fact he could still be impeached as a way to highlight the fact there's got to be accountability for President Obama on this as well. And it's been remarkable, we haven't heard much from President Obama these recent days, despite him screaming seemingly for weeks about Trump and Russia as he was leaving office.
I'm really hoping that this does, something has got to pin on Obama eventually, but one last video I wanted to take you to was Joe Scarborough, who there's a lot of backdoor things. Somebody said that Jared Kushner is texting him different things, and I don't know if I like that idea, but he did say, you know what, if Dick Cheney had done this particular thing, that all hell would have broken loose, and I appreciate that. Rand Paul was on The Morning Joe with Mika, and they grilled him, and they're like, you don't really know what you know, and he said exactly what he said in the other interview, was like, listen, they're surveilling us, this is wrong, so anyway.
This Bloomberg report says that one official familiar with the reports said they contained valuable political information, not intel, but valuable political information on what the Trump transition team was doing, including who Trump was meeting, who the Trump team was meeting, what the views were of Trump associates on foreign policy matters, and plans for the incoming administration. What would... I don't understand.
If that report's accurate, it begs a lot of questions about what was going on, and people who want to dismiss it as routine, I think, are uncurious.
Well, what if Dick Cheney had asked for the unmasking of names for Barack Obama's incoming administration? I mean, it's a very simple question to ask the next time anybody says this is much ado about nothing. They don't. And again, we don't. There are a lot of things we don't know, a lot of questions we don't know. I do know this, though. I heard the Hallelujah chorus coming immediately on cue last night saying, and Richard's laughing because he saw it too, nothing to see here, move along, move along. Let's just replace Susan Rice's name with Dick Cheney's name, the incoming Trump administration's name with the incoming Obama administration's name, and then Willie, let's go from there.
Well, remember,
that was really funny to me. They said that everybody could see the Hallelujah chorus came in and said, nothing to see here, move along, move along, move along.
Right.
So, There's a lot to see here, and nobody's moving along right now.
So speaking of moving along, I think we're going to bring you next the Steve Bannon thing, because that kind of flows along with the rest of this.
A little bit, but we have to bring them Nigel Farage's
And we
speech
still
in
have
the
to bring
EU.
you Farage. All right, so we're going to sign off here. This is Leah Michelle for Resistance Chicks, where it is not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications and find us on Facebook and Twitter. I have to tell you, I never imagined when I was a kid that we would actually be living in a constant state of conspiracy theories. We always say it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth, meaning we understand in the very beginning people were giving us a hard time about our slogan because we had said it's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. The just was implied. A conspiracy is real. And theories can be proven as true. So these things that are unfolding in front of us are conspiracy truths. Okay, there is conspiracy that is happening. There's a soft coup against the Trump administration. There is so much going on, and I never imagined that I would be living in something where conspiracy theories were turning into truth every single day. This is unprecedented.
It's a good time to be a conspiracy theorist.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you called